How effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary text? I think that having a combination of products such as a poster, radio trailer, and the prize to Alton Towers to promote the newspaper. I think that having these extra products helps to promote the products to the audiences very well. I have found all the products I have done, including the production of the newspaper, very effective as being a real media product, professional, almost like a real newspaper. All these products are a part of a big media conglomerate, as the real media newspapers will be a part of a media conglomerate that helps to promote, sell your products, including merchandise, as well as promoting it on billboards, posters, and competitions. You have above-the-line advertising and below-the-line advertising. Above-the-line advertising is bigger than below-the-line advertising, as above-the-line advertising lets you sell and promote your products like a newspaper or movie through a media conglomerate, and that way you would have to share your profits of the products. Above-the-line advertising also lets you tailor your products to suit the mass audience, as they will be purchasing or getting your product. Below-the-line advertising is something that you sell to get cash. This only lasts for a short time period, as you don't have a proper company to promote or sell your product. This also lets you keep all the profits that you have made from selling any of your products. Of course, they probably won't be as big as a conglomerate, as a combination of companies to promote your products. Using below-the-line advertising has basic methods of selling your products as well as being unconventional. I feel as though the target audience for my newspaper will be aimed at young adults right down to the elderly. I thought that my newspaper is spoken in the third person, as it's made the readers know that it wasn't personal to the writer of the article, and that the audience needs to be aimed at the correct manner, so it's personal to them instead. I think that the point of view of the stories in my newspaper is right, as it's aimed at the right audiences, and it's aimed at the mass audience. I think that my newspaper is not really formal, as this is a local newspaper, unlike a newspaper that is formal, for example, The Guardian. The newspaper that I have made is aimed at the mass audience in Rotherham, and it's a free newspaper. Even though the reading age for the newspaper is 12, this doesn't mean that a 12-year-old should be reading the newspaper, as this isn't appropriate for their age, as they are far too young to understand the stories in the newspaper. This newspaper will be aimed at 18 to 40 plus years. I think that my product is direct and obviously aimed at the correct audience, as well as being as direct with news. I think that I have got a very consistent house style for a media product. The newspaper, I have felt as though I have kept the same colour scheme throughout my newspaper for the front cover and page 2. I think that the name that I have chosen to call my newspaper is very suitable, as it's a local area. The name of my newspaper is called the Rotherham Weekly Press. I think the name sounds sophisticated as well as being direct. I think that because the name is direct, it gives you the impression of the news that is in the newspaper will also be direct and the latest. I think that the layout of the newspaper looks professional, as I have used a real newspaper to look at when I was designing and producing my own product. I really like the layout of my product, as I think it is really direct and in the readers' faces. This is where the product needs to be in order to be promoted. I think that the logo that I have created looks pretty good, as I have compared it to a professional logo from a real newspaper. I think that my stories in the newspaper sound like actual stories that you will find in a professional newspaper. I think that the front cover of my newspaper looks fairly similar to a professional newspaper that is actually real. I think that I have really good masthead, and I think that it's pretty convincing as passing off as a real masthead for a real newspaper. I've decided to have the colour of the text black, as it seems to look more professional compared with previous ideas of having a coloured masthead. I think that my slogan for a newspaper is pretty strong, and it's really catchy. I have also gotten a competition plug, as this advertises the trip to Alton Towers plus £200 worth of shopping vouchers. I think that this is a good prize to give away, as this helps to promote the newspaper. I've gotten the main story on the front page, and fairly big, as this is the story that captures the reader's attention before anything else in the newspaper. I think I have the main headline as big, as it attracts the reader's attention when they look at the newspaper, as it's big and in their face. The subheading isn't that big, as it's where the story is. This is also photographs where it's the main product of the article, shows you an image of it all, as well as hinting other meanings about the article to the readers of the newspaper. I have also got a caption of the photograph, as this explains to the reader slightly more information about the photograph. I think that I have done the caption well, as I had looked at professional ones from a real newspaper. I have also got a contents plug like they have in real newspapers, as this helps the readers note what is on certain pages of the newspaper. I think that my second page of the newspaper looks good, as I have compared it to an actual second page of a real professional newspaper. The second page of my newspaper has got page, number, dates line, and a rule-off line, as a professional newspaper has got those. I had looked at a real newspaper product throughout making and designing my own newspaper. I have also got a web address for my newspaper, as this shows the readers that the newspaper has got a website for more information and other stories that aren't in the newspaper. I have also got a page 2 lead story, as you would find in a real newspaper. I really wanted to make my product look professionally done, as well as looking realistic compared with a real media product. I think that the pictures I have taken for the lead story on page 2 are really good, as it captures the movement of transport like the ploughed JCB moving in the snow on the road. It also shows how deep the snow was, and that it caused a lot of disruption throughout Rotherham as well as elsewhere in the UK. I have also placed some captions on the photographs I have taken from the lead story, as real newspapers always use them. I have also got half lead stories and other small stories on my page 2 of my newspaper, the Rotherham Weekly Press. Real newspapers have got a lot of short stories as well as half lead stories. I really want my product to be convincing and real as possible, to even be almost like a real newspaper, like a professional one. The newspaper are placed side by side. I've got the rule of lines to connote the end of the story and the start of another story. I think that rule of lines helps to separate everything on the page, and it looks really professional, as real newspapers use rule of lines. I think that if I had more time, I could have taken better photographs for my newspaper, as well as finding a better story for the front page, as this would have made me feel proud of my work that I have and what I have accomplished, as though that this is almost a real newspaper. Looking back, I think that I would have also thought of a better layout that doesn't seem to be in index form. I think that I could have improved my script for my radio trailer, as this doesn't sound like a traditional script for a radio trailer. I have heard real radio trailers that sound different to mine. I would also make it sound better overall. I really enjoyed producing the poster, as I really liked it, as the idea literally popped right out of my head as I looked at the professional ones when I was researching. I also like producing a newspaper, both of the pages as well as the competition to Alton Towers and the radio trailer. Overall, I have enjoyed this project very much, and even though that it was different to the magazine project I had done last year, I can say that I have developed my skills further using programs such as Adobe Premiere, 5.0 Elements and Quark.